Spring has made it to northern Minnesota, and with it comes an incredible movement of water. Snowmelt and rainfall overflow ponds and feeder streams that supply many of the major rivers. With the abundance of water, those larger rivers are gushing, moving massive amounts of water into the largest lake on the planet. It's a true sight to behold. This video will showcase some of the best known and fairly easy to get to waterfalls on the North Shore of Lake Superior. This is by no means an extensive list, but one to help you get outside and explore. I will include a link to driving directions in the description that you can easily update from your location or with places you may plan to stay. Each waterfall does have a state park with campgrounds nearby, or are within driving distance to many other accommodations. Having reservations is always recommended. I will also include some lists that have these and other waterfalls from different Minnesota publications. If you have some free time to travel to the North Shore, I hope you find this video helpful. So grab your water bottle, jump in the truck, and let's go chase some waterfalls. Our first waterfall is Illgen Falls on the Baptism River. There is room for a few cars in the parking location off Highway 1. Just a little parking lot. And then there's a state park sign and a little trail down to it. Should be a pretty simple little hike. We'll pay off with some big views. This hike is quick and easy on a well-maintained trail. The nearest camping to the falls is Tetagooch State Park. As a note, it is much more difficult to get to the bottom of the falls. Next up on this trip are the falls at Temperance River. This is a waterfall, or waterfalls, that has a special place in my heart. As growing up, I worked at a resort not far from here, and so this was a place that I'd come pretty often. There are multiple falls and trails both lakeside and above Highway 61. The hike is easy to moderate and can be much more strenuous above the highway. This is one of the most incredible gorges you'll see on the North Shore. Another reason this river has such a special place in my heart, Katie and I consider our first date to be on this beach at Temperance River, where it lets out into Lake Superior. She was hiking the Superior Hiking Trail with a good friend of mine, a lawn trail that follows the North Shore from Duluth to the Canadian border. I met them to backpack for a few days, and the rest is history. When the water is lower, many people come to Temperance to cliff jump into the river. Moving north of the highway, we get into a more natural, rugged surface. The trails here are very well maintained. These blue blazes are a sign of the Superior Hiking Trail. The power of this river is absolutely magnificent. Our next waterfall is Cascade Falls on the Cascade River. This hike has trail on each side of the river, starting at the parking lot on Highway 61. I messed up not reading the sign in the parking lot. It recommends starting on the east side of the river. This trail is very well maintained. The west side consists of many wooden stairs. There's a decent amount of elevation gain, so keep that in mind. So many awesome cedar trees and white pines. Look at that neat white pine over my shoulder there. But it's a bunch of stairs going up. It's a 300-foot chute, basically. And hopefully you can hear me because, wow, that water is really moving. Now that is a white pine. There are many wire cages protecting young white pines throughout this park. Down on Highway 61, you can see where the river lets out into Lake Superior. The water was really moving. Our final stop on this trip is Devil's Kettle at Judge C.R. Magney State Park. It's on the Brule River. There's a decent amount of parking here, and you can get to many other hiking trails. Make sure you have your Minnesota State Park pass, or pay the daily fee since you are parking in the state park. Judge Magney also has a campground. There are many benches on this hike, giving you the ability to take your time along the way. If you bring a lunch, there's also picnic tables. This hike can be strenuous because of the amount of uneven terrain and the elevation change, which includes many stairs. The views, incredible waterfalls, and ample break spots make it definitely worth the hike. With how much water is flowing, it was very difficult to see Devil's Kettle. When there's less water, you can see a large kettle in the top left. Half of the water goes into it and disappears. It was a big mystery where the water went after falling into the kettle. In recent years, researchers showed that the water must enter an underground tunnel that flows back into the river below the falls. The state park connects up with the Superior hiking trail. The high water has washed out some of the trail here, which continues along the river. The Brule is running like I've never seen before. So much water in sheer force. It was astounding. After getting to the kettle, you have to go all the way back up these stairs. That's going to do it for our waterfall road trip. Which of the four was your favorite? Leave us a comment below to let us know. Also, mention what your most favorite thing to do in the spring is. Thanks so much for getting this far in the video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe it gave you a thing to do on a weekend coming up here this spring. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell to be notified as we post new content. Lots more stuff coming your way. We'll see you next week. Bye.